Self-Discovery, An Inner Search by Divaldo Franco and Joanna De Angelis. Read by Kurt Garcia, edited by Eva Demianiuk. Chapter 4. The Unconscious. In psychology's point of view, the unconscious is the assembly of processes that act on one's behavior but escapes from consciousness. In history, the first notions of the unconscious were expressed by several philosophers from Leibniz to Schopenhauer, but it became a scientific theme after the admirable researches of Charcot and Pierre Janet at the University of Paris, and also Lippelt and Bernheim at the University of Nancy. In their hypnotic experiences, they tried to find the psychological causes of physiological disturbances. Through the remarkable contributions of Freud and, later on, Jung, among others, the unconscious became a part of the mental activity that included desires and primitive or repressed aspirations. According to the masters of Vienna, that happens on account of the fact that they will not spontaneously reach consciousness due to psychological censors that block the knowledge of the being. However, the individual get to know of it only through the psychotherapeutic approaches, revelation of dreams, rediscovering conflicting disturbances and others, or deep traumas that affect the emotional system. We can distinguish two forms of unconscious, the psychological or subcortical and the organic or cortical. Beyond that view, or even through it, Jung conceived the collective unconscious that would be the presence of all the social groups' experiences and mythological elements within the individual. It is the result of the hereditary structure of the human brain. The psychological or subcortical subconscious, psychological instinctive, is automatic, initial, natural, and corresponds to Freud's ID and Jung's archetypes. While the organic or cortical subconscious is related to the Pavlov's conditioning, the polygon of Grasset, traumas, repression studied by psychoanalysis. Previously to that, it was believed that the subcortical being was a pile of optimisms under instinctive aim of psychological needs. However, the modern view of transpersonal psychology shows that the cortical consciousness has no spontaneity. It manifests itself under the occurrences of the world where it is located. For that reason, the unconscious is the spirit who is responsible for controlling one's psychological intelligence and memories. Perispiritual field, areas of instincts and emotions, paranormal faculties and functions, including the mediumistic ones. In that subcortex, Jung situated the collective unconsciousness, granting it quite divine attributes. Modernly, genetics discarded the chromosomal transmission in charge of the acquired characters. That collective unconscious would be, then, the mnemonic log of previous reincarnations of the individual who gets lost in one's own histography. Successfully, the individual is not conscious of all the occurrences of the cortex that automatically logs cortical unconscious. If one knew one's psychological life would become a total imbalance. Therefore, in human beings, it's not only necessary to know and recollect, but also to forget. All autonomous operations of the body happen without consciousness, which is, indeed, a true blessing. Often, psyche's morbid disassociations can pathologically occur and give rise to double personalities, secondary ones. Once those become conscious, they prevail for some time. In an equivalent concept, Genet intended to summarize all mediumistic communications as psyche's dissociative phenomena, considering them of pathological nature. In that area of mediumistic manifestations are registered as anemic stratifications occur, the latter ones emerge during trance and may sometimes interfere with an overcome spiritual phenomena. The subconscious. Let us consider the subconscious as part of the unconscious, which is able to bring its contents up to the consciousness, altering the individual's behavior. The subconscious is the file related to the individual's experiences, therefore automatic, devoid of reasoning and static. For that reason, it maintains strong ties with the individual's personality. The subconscious is manifested in dreams, neurotic disturbances, oral and written lapses, Freudian slips or parapraxes. After Freud, his disciples and latter dissidents, Jung and Adler, designated the subconscious also responsible for social and moral conduct. Thoughts and actions program the individual's behavior soon after they are filled in the individual's subconscious. Thus, once aware of this possibility, the individual can decide which one should activate in order to organize and reprogram one's own existence. The sacred unconscious. As the individual becomes conscious of one's reality, one transfers oneself to different levels of psychological perception in order to go deep in one's searches and feels the appeal of possible achievements. Step by step, the individual identifies oneself by psychological contents. As a consequence, one's inner goals are expanded. As such, each conquest confers the individual the understandings that fascinate and motivate one to advance and deepen one's inner search. It is believed with certain logic that the acquisition of full consciousness confers immediate wisdom, harmony, and certain insensitivity regarding emotions. If it were like that, we would condemn the wise man to delinquency for not participating and not being supportive of the problems that affect other individuals and society in general. Wisdom, instead, is a result of the union of knowledge and love, whose values make one's tranquil, not insensitive, loving, not in love. A perfect comprehension of purpose of suffering throughout the stone-cutting development and evolution allows the individual to help others with equilibrium, without neither pity nor exultation. That would be similar to an educator accompanying a student's effort and sacrifice to his exhaustion, if necessary for learning. As the educator had been through the same, one blesses the student. One is thankful for the other's performance, which provides other candidates similar experiences. The individual's view of humanity expands and their loving feelings become deprived of individualism. They start feeling immense gratitude by ones that came before them, those who prepare the path they now walk. Moreover, in the individuals emerges a magnificent complacency by those who are not yet awake in the present. They understand their spiritual infancy in which they still remain. The individual also amplifies their aiding capacity on behalf of those who are pledged in their own self-illumination. And finally, by means of incessant achievements, they lovingly grow towards their future. Reaching superior levels of consciousness, the individual experiences altered states of the mind. Those states slowly open psychological gates that are marked by traces of those perceptions until it reaches the deep unconscious. However, this deep unconscious, which some transpersonal and mentalist psychologists name as sacred, is the deposit of the eternal spirit's experiences, the superior self, the unique reality of physical life, and its essential casualty. Consciousness's identification with the superior self conquers lucidity over the achievements of the past reincarnations. It brings valuable comprehension of the present and also the remote cause and effects. The individual faces innumerable possibility and slowly leaves all attachments, remainders of the ego, desires, disturbances, consequences of the ego, and reaction, domineering persistence of the ego. Badness does not reach the individual due to one's comprehension of goodness, which enables one to identify God and everything and everyone. It makes one love the most diverse or even aggressive or persuasive forms that reach one. That liberation is a detachment from the ego and fills the individual with equilibrium and confidence without haste in the events, without resentment in the absence of success. Time-space dimension gives up place to a state of fullness in which the continuous illuminative action performs the main role in the continuation of the individual's progress. When the individuals abstract themselves from the sensory world through detachment, their psychological life generously radiate, commanding all movements and actions under the drive of immortal reality, that some prefer to name as the sacred unconsciousness. The individual experiences fullness in life and feels free from mistakes once there are no either ambitions or torments. The individual gets closer to a luminous state. One frees oneself up.